If you are a Nigerian parent raising children in the Netherlands, one of the fastest ways to feel disoriented is through school. Because school is not just school. School is where you suddenly realize that your child is not growing up inside the system you knew. And that can hit you in small ways first. The communication feels different, the expectations feel different, the freedom children seem to have feels different, the way teachers speak to parents feels different, the way children speak in class may even feel different, and before long you start wondering, is this normal? Is my child becoming too free? Is this school too soft? Or am I the one still reading everything through the Nigerian system I understand best? That is why this conversation matters. Because if you understand the structure of Dutch schools, you stop reacting to every difference emotionally. You start seeing what is actually different, what is just cultural style, and what your child needs from you so they do not grow up confused between two systems. The Dutch system is built around compulsory schooling, national learning goals, and different secondary pathways, while Nigeria's official structure is built around free and compulsory universal basic education for primary and junior secondary, followed by senior secondary education. So let's break this down properly. The first thing to understand is the path itself. In Nigeria, the early school path feels more straightforward to many parents. The official UBE structure is 6 years of primary school and 3 years of junior secondary school, and it is meant to be free and compulsory. Then comes senior secondary education. That structure feels familiar to many Nigerians because it sounds linear. Move from one level to the next, then continue upward. In the Netherlands, the path starts differently and branches earlier. Children are usually registered with a primary school from age 4, although compulsory attendance starts at age 5. At the end of primary school, the school gives advice on the type of secondary education that fits the child best, and the primary school leavers test helps indicate what type of secondary education may be suitable. If a pupil performs better than expected on the test, the school must reconsider its advice. Then children may move into different secondary paths. The three main ones are vmbo, havo, and vwo. Vmbo prepares children for vocational training and practical careers. Havo prepares children for universities of applied sciences, called HBO. VWO is the highest track and leads directly to university. But here is something important many parents do not know. The Dutch system is not a dead end. A child who starts in VMBO can still reach university. It just takes a longer route, moving from VMBO to MBO, then to HBO, and in some cases onward to university level. A child on havo can also move upward. The paths are not sealed. They are starting points, not final verdicts. What matters most is that you understand which path your child is on and why, so you can support them well from the beginning. And this is where many Nigerian parents feel their first tension. Because in the Dutch system, your child is not just moving to secondary school, they are being guided toward a particular path. That can feel early, it can feel like too much pressure, it can even feel like your child is being labeled too soon, but the system sees it as matching education to the child's attainment level and route forward. That does not mean Nigerian parents have to like every part of it automatically, but it does mean you need to understand it early, not only panic when your child reaches Group 8. The second big difference is curriculum and learning goals. Dutch primary schools are required to teach compulsory subjects defined in terms of attainment targets. Schools can also teach extra subjects. In other words, there is a national framework, but schools still have some space in how they shape the learning environment. The Netherlands also has constitutional freedom of education, which means both publicly run and privately run schools can be funded equally if they meet legal requirements. That freedom matters because Dutch parents are not only choosing a school nearby, they may also be choosing based on educational approach, values, religion, or school concept. Government reporting notes that parents or guardians choose primary schools for reasons including values, religion, educational concept, and quality. Now compare that with how many Nigerians instinctively think about school. A lot of Nigerian parents think first in terms of discipline, standards, academic seriousness, and whether the child is really learning. and those concerns are valid. But in the Dutch context, parents also have to think about fit, what kind of school environment actually suits the child, what support exists, and what route that school tends to prepare children for. The Dutch government also says every child should attend a school suited to their talents and capabilities, and that schools adapt teaching when extra assistance is needed. So one of the mindset shifts for Nigerian parents is this. In the Netherlands, school is not only about pushing the child hard. It is also about matching the child more intentionally to a school and learning path. The third big difference is parent-teacher communication. This one can really throw people off. Many Nigerian parents are used to a school culture where the teacher is clearly the authority and where the parent often enters communication mainly when there is an issue, a report, a fee, a correction, or a major school matter. That does not mean Nigerian parents are uninvolved. It just means the communication style often feels more top-down and formal. In the Dutch system, parent-school communication often feels more structured and procedural. Parents are not only observers, they have routes into the system. The Dutch government says every school must have a complaints committee that parents and pupils can turn to if they have a complaint. That alone tells you something important. The system expects parent voice to exist formally, not just informally. So if you are a Nigerian parent, one thing to expect is that you may need to become more actively involved in understanding school advice, school fit, support options, and how to raise concerns properly. Dutch schooling is not built on the assumption that the parent only shows up when the child is in serious trouble. That does not mean the Dutch system is automatically warmer. It means it is more procedural. If you have a concern, there is usually a route. If you disagree, there is often a process. If your child needs support, there is language for that. That can actually help you, but only if you learn how to use it. The fourth difference is what many Nigerian parents experience as freedom of speech or freedom of expression. Let me phrase this carefully. Dutch schools are not built around chaos or children saying whatever they want without limits, but they do sit inside a broader Dutch framework that places strong emphasis on freedom, equality, and citizenship education. The Dutch government notes that schools have a statutory obligation to provide citizenship education, conveying the importance of personal freedom and the equality of all people. The wider education system is also shaped by constitutional freedom of education. So what does that mean in real life? It often means Nigerian parents may experience Dutch classrooms as giving children more room to ask questions, express opinions, and interact with adults in ways that feel less rigid than what they are used to. And that can feel unsettling. Because if you are coming from a system where visible deference is heavily emphasized, then a child openly questioning something in class can look like disrespect. But in a Dutch setting, it may be seen as participation. This is one of those areas where parents need wisdom, because not every difference is rebellion, and not every freedom is a threat to your values. At the same time, you do not have to abandon your expectations around respect. What you do need is to teach your child how to combine both confidence and respect, self-expression and self-control, participation and honor. That is the deeper assignment. The fifth difference is choice and school identity. In the Netherlands, parents often have more formal school choice than many immigrants first expect. Public and private schools are funded equally if they meet requirements, and schools may differ by religious basis, educational ethos, and concept. That means choosing a school can involve more than just proximity. That matters a lot for immigrant families, because if you assume school is school, you may miss an important decision. Some schools may fit your child's temperament better. Some may align more with your values. Some may communicate differently. Some may support children differently. In Nigeria, families often talk about good schools and bad schools in terms of standards, discipline, or reputation. In the Netherlands, you may also need to ask, what is this school's educational approach? How does it support children? What kind of environment does it create? How does it communicate with parents? What secondary advice patterns do children usually receive? Those are not small questions. The sixth difference is how early support and school fit are treated. The Dutch government says every child should be in a school suited to their talents and capabilities, and that roughly 1 in 5 pupils needs extra assistance at primary school. That tells you the system is built to think about variation in learner needs more openly than many parents may be used to. For some Nigerian parents, that can feel strange, because in many settings back home, the dominant expectation may be the child should adjust to the school. In the Dutch system, there is more language around the school also adapting to the child. That does not mean standards disappear. It means support is more openly part of the conversation. If you do not understand that, you may misread support as weakness, or think your child is being unfairly singled out. Sometimes what is happening is simply that the system is trying to fit support more intentionally. Now let's talk about what parents should actually expect emotionally. If your child enters a Dutch school, you may notice a few things quickly. You may feel the children are more relaxed. You may feel the school atmosphere is less fear-based. You may feel the teachers are less dramatic. You may also feel that some things that looked strict or serious in Nigeria are handled more quietly here. That can either make you happy or make you nervous. And honestly, both reactions are understandable, because many Nigerians associate seriousness with visible control. So when the school looks calmer, you may wonder whether enough is happening. But calm is not always weakness, and strictness is not always strength. What matters is whether your child is learning, supported, and being formed well. So let me make this practical. If you are a Nigerian parent entering the Dutch school system, expect these things. Expect the structure to branch earlier than you may be used to. Expect school advice and the leavers test to matter. Expect more formal routes for parent questions and complaints. Expect school choice to involve values, concept, and fit, not just location. Expect children to appear more comfortable speaking up. Expect support needs to be discussed more openly. And expect that you will need to understand the system instead of measuring everything only by Nigerian school culture. That last part matters, because the goal is not to say Dutch schools are better or Nigerian schools are better. That is too shallow. The real goal is to understand, what kind of system is my child inside? What strengths does it have? What risks does it have? And what do I, as a parent, need to supply from home so my child grows up whole? That is the real work. Because school alone does not raise your child. You do. And when you understand the school system more clearly, you can partner with it wisely instead of fighting shadows. So yes, Dutch schools and Nigerian schools can feel very different. Different curriculum frameworks, different paths, different expectations, different parent-school dynamics, different ideas about voice, fit, and support. But once you understand those differences, you stop panicking at every contrast. You start asking better questions. And that is how you parent wisely in a new country. If this helped you, tell me in the comments, what has been the biggest school culture shock for you in the Netherlands? The path, the communication, the freedom children seem to have, or the way schools guide children into different routes? And if this video helped, like, subscribe, and share it with another parent trying to understand the Dutch school system. Follow mynigeria.nl for practical relocation tips that make life in the Netherlands easier.